remember, every good project needs to start with a good cup of coffee. Oh, that's good stuff. Now, in the next title frame, I'll put in the recipe for my good coffee. You know, all my viewers are like, man, dude's addicted to coffee. Every time I see him, he's got a coffee mug in his hand. Yeah, well, half of that's because I'm ex-Navy, and the other half is this is just awesome, good coffee. Hello everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome to another little mini episode of MacGyver's Workshop, where normally we're out in the workshop fixing stuff, building stuff, you know, working on cars. But you know, it's kind of been sidelined here for the past few years while we focus on building our house. And today, at this point, we're on the down slope. We got a lot going on. We're finishing drywall. We've got tile going on. We've got the kitchen island here, which is what we're going to work on today. So stay tuned, and I'll show you how we do our own kitchen countertop here. It's going to be a poured concrete countertop. So the forms, which are over here in this incredibly long box, so we'll be using those to fashion the outside perimeter with a nice rounded bull nose. You can get them in all different kind of designs. I got the rounded bull nose, but you can get step down, cove, all kind of designs. How these forms work is they essentially act, I'm trying to get this to the camera where you can see it, they act as a mold for your concrete. And this piece here will screw down to this, and then this will be your form for when you pour your concrete in, and this will go all the way around the perimeter and act like a little swimming pool almost, and you're going to fill it with concrete. So first thing we're going to do, these are 8-foot long pieces. Unfortunately, I have an 11.5-foot long island, so we're going to have to piece these together, which I'll get to here in a minute, show you how we do that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to set this down, and we're going to cut our miter here to make our corner. It's going to have to stick out a wee bit, and we're going to have a 45-degree miter on there, and then that's how we're going to go around the edge here. So let's get set up outside on the table saw, and I'll show you how we do this. Okay, so before we start, I'm just going to scribe a little thing here so that we know which direction our 45 is going to cut. Okay, so I've got my little piece of wood under here, braced up against the guide of the saw, and then I have this clamped down to it, and use the edge of this plastic here as your guide to square it up against the guide of the back of the saw here. And then make sure, you know, you're far enough in for your 45 that you're not going to, you know, be short of the edge there. And then we'll let her rip here. Now that made a nice pretty 45 on there. Now depending on which side of the corner you're cutting, you have to switch your support around. You can see my clamp here holding this down to the board. The board's giving support across to the support roller out here because you're going 8 feet out. Give her a burrow here. Now when you're cutting plastic with a power saw, you don't want to go too fast, but you don't want to dally either, because you don't want the blade to have time to heat the plastic up and melt it. So you see, we've got a really nice clean cut there. So once you have your Z-form in place here and use the mark that you made as a guide, then we start. Screw these puppies down in there. Z-Forms recommends a number 10 5/8 screw. There you go, and then you just work your way down, keeping the form butted up against your cabinet here, and you'll be good to go. I forget exactly what the distance they say to put these, but now another little trick I do to try and help make my corners a little better. You'll see, if you place this here, okay, and line it up to that, you don't really have any idea where it's going to land here, or you need to know where it's going to land here. So when you put your piece coming down this way, then it lines up correctly. The first corner there, that's a gimme. It's easy. All you got to do is match where the 45-degree cuts across the physical corner, and you know it's really where it needs to be. But this one's going to be a little different, so because you don't have a way of knowing exactly where it's going. So use your favorite carpenter square, speed square, whatever it is you want to use. You come in and make a mark on 45, coming right out to the corner here. Now, ideally, you want to use a factory edge for this, so that you got a good 45 here, and not something that's cocked off, like this bit here. This is a cut edge that I used, I scored with a knife and snapped it. So it's really bumpy. If I were to try to do a 45 on that, it wouldn't be accurate at all. So always try to use one of those pretty factory edges to do your 45s. And if you can't do that, I would recommend doing your cut with a saw. But if you cut this stuff, either the Hardy Backer or the Duroc, make sure you wear a mask, because it's all got cement and silica and all that bad, nasty stuff you don't want in your lungs. So now we have us a nice little 45-degree line here, so that when we lay our piece down, if we were to trowel fit it, we'll see that this lines up perfectly with that 45-degree line that I drew, so I know I'm good. And that's how we'll do this. So when I go to cut this piece that I'm about to put in, you'll notice I made the line go way in here. Okay, well, you may not be able to see that. I'm looking at my little tiny screen on my camera here, but so I can make a mark on the back side of this plastic form and then cut a known good 45 from there, and it'll match up perfectly. So with that, we will lay this down in here. My mark. Now we'll have to go outside and cut this, and we'll put it in place. Okay, so basically what we've got here, we've got a full 8-foot piece that we did on this end here, and just cut as close to the end as we could to make a 45 on it. And then on the second 8-foot piece, we started with doing this end piece here and then this piece here. Fortunately, that lands far enough down the island to where another 8-foot piece will carry you on out to the other end. So you always want to be cognizant of that, because if you cut a piece, you put a piece in here that's too short, you go, in my case, you go 8 foot and you're going to be this short on the other end. And you got another piece you got to cut. So while having joints in this stuff is not necessarily a big deal, you know, it's just one more thing you're going to have to clean up after it's all said and done, because there will be a parting line there, no matter what you do. So, anyway, moving right along. Okay, now, so I'm down to the last bit here on the on the island. I've got it, my forms all the way around. Now, I'm not sure exactly how they suggest you doing this. I suppose you could just cut a 45, made it here, and then lap it over here and mark it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not wanting to waste any of this form, because I got to use it on the 2 cabinets over there. So I want to make sure I don't have, I don't come up short. But the way I'm going to figure it is I'm going to measure right from the inside corner here, and I'm putting it on my 2-inch mark, so my tab will hang over the edge. You see that? Started right on the 2-inch mark in that corner. And it comes down to here and goes to 45 3/4. But of course, you have to subtract 2 inches, so that'll be 43 3/4. So that way, we'll just cut it 43 3/4 to the inside of our 45, and that should put us right where we need to be. Let's see if I'm right. Okay, so what is it my YouTube compadre on EEV blog says? Bob's your uncle, because he's right in there. So that's perfect. So we'll screw that down, and then we'll get started on our mesh and all that good stuff. Okay, so we've got our forms down all the way around the perimeter here. Now, in your joints where you have 2 pieces coming together, you'll want to use some tape. I originally thought, you know, the real thick, heavy Gorilla tape, but actually looks like the cheap gray tape that used to be the real duct tape, but it's not anymore, in my opinion. But anyway, works best because it's thinner, so it forms around everything really good. And cleanliness is key, because we're gonna vacuum all this out, because in our form here, you don't want any of those little chips getting in there, because that'll make an imperfection or an indentation. So we're going to get them, and we'll have to make a slurry to clean them up, but anything we can do to minimize it is good. And then in the corners here, I want to wrap around these corners really good, And then if you don't want any, wet cement dribbling down through the gaps here, or where they come together, you'll lay a little tape on here and then some underneath to minimize it. But don't put anything on anything that's facing out. So that's why we're do that tape on the outside. So other than that, we're ready to start. We're going to vacuum this whole area out real good. Then we're going to start putting our sink form in. And what we have to do is we've got a piece of plastic that'll fit in here, and will rise up to the same height as this. So we'll set our level across there, and then I'll use a heat gun to soften it and fit it into the corners there, and that's how we'll have our barrier around the sink for the concrete. So, okay, now basically what we're going to be doing here is we've got this form with some sticky on the back that we're going to leave alone for the moment, because as you can see, my sink is relatively square, and had I known we were going to go with concrete, I would have gotten one with rounded corners, but needless to say, that's where we're at right now. What this is going to do is this is going to basically make the form for inside the sink, hold the concrete, and we'll set it at the same exact level as this. We lay our level across, and but first we're going to have to fit ourselves into these corners. So we're going to use a heat gun, because this thing's not going to be very cooperative. You don't want to go too crazy with it. Now what we'll do is we'll get it to where we want our center line to be, and just start warming that plastic up. So we'll start getting a little fire, and want to cooperate a little bit as far as getting into that corner there. See that? Look at that. Look at that. It just started, it's like it relaxed, which is very, very good. So, now we don't want a sharp corner, but we want it rounded, but at the same time, we still have to make the bend around this corner. So all you can get warm enough. You don't want to overheat it, but you want to get warm enough where it will cooperate with you. There, see, that's good. That's good right there. Now we'll do the rest of our corners, and then when we get to our parting line here is when we're mark it and cut it. Now the first and second corner is pretty easy, but you start getting into the third, we're going to just put a little tape in here just to kind of mock this up temporarily. Just set that in place at its proper level, because we're going to peel the sticky off and get that stuck in there really good and sealed up tight. But we want to make sure our bends are in the right place. So what we'll do, we'll make sure for the time being, we're where we need to be. Okay, now that we got all our four corners formed here, then we have to find out where we're going to make our cut line. So to do that, we've got this here, which is position where we want it. And it's very vitally important that we keep our height correct as we go along here. And then we'll make a mark with a knife on our plastic. And that is where we will cut it. Okay, so before you peel the sticky off the back of this and go to stick it in there on the sink, common sense will tell you that you really want this sink nice and clean. You don't want any oily residue or anything on there that's going to prevent that tape from sticking really good. And basically what we're going to do, to me, I think this is probably the most challenging part of the project, is that you know, once you have this thing peeled off and you have your thing sticky, once you stick that thing, you know, it's stuck there. I'm just going to kind of peel this tape back as I go here, and stick it and set my level. our way around here. Just want to butt it right up to the bottom of that level.
Bubbles in the middle, right?
Now it comes.
Shouldn't need exactly.
Hopefully.
We good?
Almost. Yeah, I got a little tiny bit of a gap there. I'm going to cut it a little short, but that's okay. We can work with that. You're going to screw up.
There's no do-overs on this.
Yeah, it's better to have an outie than an innie. Because an outie you can sand down, an innie you got to fill in. So. Make sure you got this right, because when you're screeding, you're going to be coming right across the top of all this. So. A little bit of a bulge here. So we're going to warm that up. A little spot right there. Soften it up.
Don't forget the sink.
Well, there we have it. Now we have our sink form in it. Now I'm going to run some more duct tape around here on the bottom to seal all that up. And we'll seal all this. And that way.
Do you want one long strip?
No. We'll tape along the bottom.
Because
here
we're going
for
to
any
put
leakage, but
we're going to put caulking, you said, or?
I'm going to caulk around that, yeah. Okay, so we've got our sink form in here. I put a little clear silicone caulk around there just as an extra measure. And of course you wipe that down with 90% alcohol. Whereas with painter's caulk or latex caulk, you use water on your finger. When you're using silicone, 100% silicone, you use alcohol. And that makes you nice and smooth all the way around there, and all that'll peel off when it's all said and done. See, the heat gun gave us a nice pretty corner there where it tucks in there and it's rounded. It's you don't want a square corner because you know, that can be a place for a stress crack to start. So we want to round those corners out real nice. And then of course you want to protect the inside of your sink, so we got plastic all taped in there really good, sealing all that up. Just trust me, it will get in there. And then there's our little hole thing for the faucet. And now that we're getting ready to start working on our laying our reinforcement in here, we'll want to run a vacuum cleaner over here and clean this all up real nice and wipe out the inside edges of this form here, because we don't want any foreign material on there to ruin our outside edge. So moving right along. See, what I did was I used the alcohol, leftover alcohol from where I poured into a cup to wipe this down, and you can see what all was in there. See, all those little nibs and stuff will just make an imperfection on your concrete. So anything you can do to prevent that is good. Okay, these guys are just showing off now. So, Concrete Countertop Solutions, Counterform. This is their fiber mesh that they use, or they want you to use with their system. And they put it in this cool little tubular bag. How crazy is that? Then, it's a woven fiberglass mesh that works to strengthen the concrete. So we're going to lay this down here in this inside here, and of course we'll use their little legs that they give you to prop it up so that it sits at the right height. So let's get cracking. Okay, so we got our reinforcement mesh rolled out and cut, and we're putting the little feet on them. And what that does is that will put the mesh at just the right height. You'll see that it needs to be for the to do the most good as far as reinforcing the concrete. So it needs to be just a wee bit below the surface there. So that's how where it does the most good. So right now we're applying them and spacing them, and then we'll flip the whole thing over, and then we can start screwing those little feet down. Okay, so I got part of it down here. This is the time-consuming part. I'm getting all those little feet in there and getting them screwed down. Because you want that, those feet are going to hold this reinforcement up right up to where it does the best good. So now I have to trim my piece out there for the other side. Okay, well, it took about 3 hours, but we finally got all the mesh down around the way it's supposed to be. So now it's time to mix up some of this special countertop cement, and that's what it is here. And we'll start mixing it up and pouring it in there and screeding it out and getting it all prepped. And I guess this was all the easy work. Now comes the hard stuff. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, this job is not for the faint of heart, trust me. But once you get going, mixing this stuff up, there is no stopping. And we had to mix up probably about, I'm going to guess, how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we only mixed 12 bags? Mm-hmm. God, it felt like more than that. Oh God, let me tell you what.
I'm sorry, there's 3,
Anyway.
7 bags, 13.
Oh, 13 bags. Anyway, there you go.